Why does man get sick? Why sickness and disease at all? I went on a quest around the world to find out what causes man to get sick and what man can do to get well.
By the sheer fact that you're here and breathing, there is hope.
All right, I have my comfort drink, a little bit of green tea. I hope that you have yours. Buckle in, get ready for a great show today. I'm Damon Davis, your host. This is Zoe Today. I hope that you had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful weekend. That means that I trust that you rested well, that you got some hydration, got some natural vitamin D, right? Come on. That means you went outside. That means we got a little bit of movement into our routine, right? Most of all, I hope that you were able to, if you didn't work over the weekend, many of us did, many of us don't, I hope that you were able to leave it on the field. What? Work. You know, you end that Friday, maybe you had some wonderful time with someone important to you, family, a relationship, or just yourself, right? And then I hope that you were able to get some good rest and wake up Saturday and get out of the house and take on the day and get stuff done through the weekend that you can't get done during the week. And I trust Sunday that you found yourself somewhere being educated and enriched, maybe a local church, maybe you had some community time, or you just went to the park and got centered, mindfulness, right? And it's Monday. Hello, everybody. We're back to it. This is a full week ahead of us. I'm going to be here tomorrow. Same time, same channel. We're still doing the after show. That means after this half hour that's streamed through satellite, 122 countries, by the way, cable all across America, 98 million homes is what they tell me that this program can be seen. We rebroadcast the following morning at 5:30, 6 o'clock, and you can find all this information on the website, zoetoday.com or damondavis.com, see where we're listed, where we're running. But after that satellite and cable distribution, we stay on air another half hour after this show for what's called the after show. That is simply me with you and my guests continuing to unpack whatever topic it is that we're discussing for the day. However, the after show is pretty cool because you get a chance to interact with us. That's right, ask questions. How do you do that? Just put them in the chat and my production team will let me know you're there, that you have a question. Soon enough, I'll have a nice digital dashboard in front of me that I'll see this stuff live with you so I can interact with you live during the show. We're working on these little things that we're tweaking, but this is the week where the show really officially kicks off. That means that all of these great updates, you need to stay tuned so you can find out about them. But top down, connect with us on social media. Connect with us on our distribution platforms. Subscribe, smash up the likes, let us know you're there so we can send you those updates in real time. Quickly, a little bit more housekeeping. We got a great show in store for you, but before we get to the topic of the show and my guests, don't forget this Friday night. We're so excited. It's our first annual Zoe Health and Wellness Conference, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. East Coast, that means East Coast if you're in Atlanta, Georgia. That's where the conference is taking place. We'll be at World Changers Church International. Dr. Creflo Dollar, dear friend of our family, I consider my spiritual dad. Come out and be part of the program, be part of the broadcast online or in person. Yeah, in the dome or at the church, the chapel, information is online, but you don't have to be there in person to participate. We will be on the Word Network for 1 hour, 7 to 8, worldwide, and we will be on the entire hour and the second hour, 2 hours total, 7 to 9 p.m., and on 13 digital distribution platforms. So we're giving you every opportunity to connect with us and be part of an amazing time at the Health and Wellness Conference this Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. You got to register. Go to the websites, register, and meet us there. All right, let's get into the show. Very excited to continue our conversation about primary food. That's the plate before the plate. On Friday, we talked about a number of topics. We hit relationships in particular. We're going to hit spirituality tomorrow, because today, on the plate before the plate, primary food, how to get our life on the right track to achieve wellness. That's life above life, the God kind of life, nothing broken, nothing missing, everything whole, where you're living happy and free from depression, discouragement, inflammation is down, we're getting sickness and disease out of the body, you're discovering who you really are and what you're called to do. We're going to continue here. Except today I have with me two very special guests. My first guest is no stranger to this program, Dr. Joseph Feuerstein. Dr. Joe is the medical director for our brand new, we're so excited, we're launching Zoe Integrative Wellness. That's right. That means we're looking at stuff like what's going on in the blood, we're looking at what's going on in your gut, we're getting to the root cause of sickness and disease and putting a program together and a journey to help give the body what it needs naturally to support its ability to heal itself and get you on the right track to living the vitality life that you deserve. My second guest, oh, by the way, and if you're in Chicago, our medical director of our Chicago facility is Dr. Joe. So you get a double bonus today. You're meeting the man that's heading the charge for Zoe Integrative Wellness, but also our medical director in Chicago. So excited that he is here. By the way, Dr. Joe, good to see you.
Always a pleasure, my brother. It's good to see you too. Live on the Word.
All right. And by the way, welcome back. We're going to get into it, but I understand that not long ago you went to Israel, and I know we got a couple of good sound bites probably to get from you about your trip. We'll get into that. My second guest today, very excited that she is here. And her business is her business. Who she is, first and last name, that matters less. I call her Lala. That's how we met, and that's who I know her to be. But for the sake of this show, we really want to hear more about her story. We want you to meet Lala, but more importantly, we want you to meet her story, meet her journey. I believe there are things you'll hear from her today that you can identify with, that maybe will help encourage you that the results she's seeing in just a couple of weeks with us are results available to you. And I want you to hear her story today. We're going to keep rallying with her and encouraging her to stay the course, but hopefully she'll encourage you to start your course today. Isn't that cool? All right. We're going to start with you getting acquainted with Dr. Joe. Dr. Joe, welcome home, my brother. Welcome back to Zoe today. You were in Israel recently. Tell us about it.
Trip to Israel, that's the spiritual center. Very, very important. Chance to connect. I got family there. But also a chance to do a live show with you, which was great. I mean, want to do more of them all over the world. We want to spread this message.
Absolutely. I want to, if I can, Dr. Joe, allow you, for some of the viewers who have not met you before, and maybe their first time tuning into Zoe today, give them, if you would please, just a little snapshot of your credentials, sir, and what you feel Zoe Integrative Wellness is all about.
Zoe Integrative Wellness is a passion. It's actually my life's passion, along with working with Damon. I'm a professor at 2 medical schools. One of them is an Ivy League medical school. I've seen 45,000 patients in the last 15 years, and I haven't used medicine with any of them. In other words, prescription pharmaceuticals, the entire treatment for their medical conditions. These are people, my friends, who have actually got illness. They're not well. This is not wellness. This is illness. They have medical conditions, and we treat them without drugs. It's done completely naturally. And the cause of this, the core foundations of Zoe Integrative are going to be how you eat, how you sleep, how you move, how you pray, how you deal with stress. And we look at those elements because it allows the body to heal itself, which is what it is wanting to do very much. Yeah. And that's what the Zoe Integrative program is going to be about. Saw a patient this morning, complicated lady, saw her, and we're going to take her on her journey. We're going to make her better. She's got inflammation. She's showing me her fingers. We're going to reduce that, and we're not going to do it with drugs.
Dr. Joe, we see a rising tide, if you will, statistically, with people dealing with chronic degenerative disease factors. And the cycle, as we discussed on Friday's program, is pretty much the same across the board, regretfully, simply because people don't know what to do, that there's other ways to get control of what's going on. They feel a pain, something's going on, maybe they ignore it, they finally break down and go do something about it, and the process is pretty much the same. They go to the doctor, try to get a name for what's ever going on, and we thank God for our doctors, thank God for medicine. It has its place, it's critical, it's important. God heals through medicine. But the cycle is they go, they get a diagnosis, and typically they end up on pharmaceutical medication or maybe some other kind of event in terms of medicine taking care of a problem, which is often treating symptoms and not getting to the solution. And as you've helped us discover over the course of our time together, the solution is asking the big questions. How do we get here? Why are we here? How can we put together a process that is medically sound, scientifically proven, but puts a lot on the responsibility of the individual to practice self-care. In other words, it's time we take control of our health. We just need to empower you with the information you need to do that. Are these the people that you see typically coming through the doors seeking a solution alternatively to what they've experienced in big box medicine?
Absolutely. The Zoe integrated wellness patients that I'm seeing, they have chronic medical conditions. Some of them are pretty significant: inflammatory bowel disease, MS, IBS, then obviously weight issues, diabetes, all of these things, and then heart disease, stroke, even some cancer, patients with mood disorders. And what they've done usually is they've seen their doctors and they've had their workup, and now they're being given this hodgepodge of medicines. And medicines are great, and I'm a physician and I get when you use medicine, but if you're on medicine and then more medicine and then medicine to counteract the side effect of the other medicine, you're going to end up on 15 pills. And you've got to ask yourself, is that the best way to proceed? How do you eat? Do you sleep? How do you move? What is your relationship with the Almighty? What is your relationship with your family? Is it toxic? What about environmental stresses? And what do you eat? That's all of this is, it doesn't matter what your problem is. It doesn't matter what the medical condition is. The body will do better if you are looking at and you are using it in the right way. You are feeding it. I always say this to patients. Your body is an incredible performance sports car. You have to look after your performance sports car. You have to give it the best fuel. You have to move it. You have to do things to it and get it serviced. No difference. And that has nothing to do with pharmaceuticals. That is lifestyle. And that's really where Zoe Integrative and Zoe Wellness and the Zoe Today show, that's what we're trying to show people. There is a very, very good, healthy, godly way.
So true. And I couldn't add a thing to what you said, Dr. Joe, except the reality is many of us treat our sports cars, our lawnmowers, that nice flat screen, whatever, better than we do the most amazing machine that God created, that it should be walking out what we're supposed to walk out, but instead we're hindered and limited when we're sick. We're going to go to a break, and when we come back, you're going to meet Lala. Lala walked through the door of Zoe Wellness Centers of America, which is a sister to Zoe Integrative Wellness. One side is medical, the other side is not. We turn nobody away that we can avoid turning away. People come through the door, maybe they have a medical issue that have to rely upon us to refer them to our medical side. We can do that too. But Lala came to the door of our non-medical side with a simple request. Hey, how do I get some weight off? I'm carrying some excess pounds I don't want, and I know it's really not good for my health, but also my energy levels. She's very busy, and she connected with us. And today, let me tell you, less than a month in, she's down, I think, 8 or 10 pounds. It's possible. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, you'll meet Lala. We'll get into her story and then help you discover how you can get into your own. We'll be right back right after this.
There's never been a better time to lose those extra pounds and gift yourself a healthier life. Zoe's team of weight loss experts is proud to offer Zoe 60, an easy-to-follow, complete lifestyle program. Not only will the program help you lose weight and keep it off, but is designed specifically to help you balance your spirit, soul, and body.
The program that we put together puts you in a place to heal yourself, and it doesn't take long for you to see the benefits of that.
Call now to set up a remote consultation with our wellness coaches. They will walk you step by step through this life-changing program online, and you can lose up to 30 pounds or more in just 60 days and vastly improve your overall health.
The Z60 program was really life-changing for me. I lost a total of 22 pounds in the first 40 days. Everyone wanted to know how I did it.
Well, I've had these pants in my closet for over 3 years, actually. Now I'm wearing them. Look at my thighs, you know. I'm loving it.
Call right now, and your initial consultation, normally valued at $100, will be absolutely free. You now have no more excuses not to get started on your overall health journey. Call now.
Is my hair okay? All right, welcome back to the program. I'm Damon Davis, your host. This is Zoe today, and I'm delighted that you chose to be here with us. This is a very special show because today you get to meet Lala, a young lady who came through the doors of Zoe Wellness Centers of America, looking to achieve some specific goals with what we offer at Zoe. Before we introduce you to Lala, I want very quickly, Dr. Joe, let food be thy medicine, medicine be thy food. I think that was Hippocrates that said it. You have lived that journey as an integrative medicine doctor. What does that really mean, that statement?
First thing you're thinking about when you get sick, not with, you've got a sore throat and you've got strep throat, get antibiotics. No one's arguing. But when you have a chronic condition, when you want to lose weight and your sugars are too high and your blood pressure is too high, your cholesterol's too high, there's too much inflammation in your body, think about what you are eating, because food is the first line of medicine. It's the first line of medicine. Even the pharmaceutical companies, whenever they do all of these ads and they say, take this for this cholesterol, they always say, in addition to diet and exercise. But what do they mean? They have no idea what they mean, but Zoe will tell you. We'll tell you what we want you to eat. We'll tell you how often, and we'll guide you. That's the diet and exercise part, but we give you the details. That's what Zoe 60 is all about. That's what Zoe 30 is all about, and that's what Zoe 60 Premier, which is the integrative approach, medically supervised with doctors and nurses and health coaches. That's what this is all about, all of those programs. Lala, by the way, I'm so excited on your journey. I want to hear.
Lala, welcome to the program. Thank you, Dr. Joe. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, listen, I thought we were going to have to bend your arm or bribe you to get here, and we didn't have to. Our producer called and said, hey, they heard about your results. They said, would you be willing to come on the show and just kind of share what kind of led you to us, but more importantly, what the journey has been like. And we have about 5-6 minutes of the first part with you. Then we'll go to an after show. By the way, so stay with us. We're going to go to an after show and really unpack her experience with Zoe, what it means to her and what it would mean to you if you said yes. Hey, help me, please. I'm trying to lose some weight, trying to get inflammation down. I try to slow down the aging process or give my body what needs to age properly, right? So stay with the after show and we'll get into that. But Lala, I want to just say thank you first for believing in yourself enough to say yes, to try something that for all you knew may not work. So many people want change in their life and they talk about wanting change in their life. They don't know how to get started. Or when they do, they're left alone to kind of figure it out for themselves. So I want to hear what led you to us and then what it's been like since you started on the journey with Zoe.
Well, for years and years, I'm the type of person that if I don't have structure and accountability, I'm living in Vegas every day or something, you know? So for years and years, I would try. I had no accountability, and I would just keep failing. And it got to the point this last year where I was so depressed and just overweight, and I just could not get out of that rut of feeling alone and feeling like, well, there's no reason to not eat good. I mean, I just was eating bad. I was eating in bed at night, laying next to it was out of control. Too much drinking, I had no discipline. And what is discipline? Discipline is self-love. And I had none. And I would cry at night, I would cry in the morning. I just had no self-discipline at all. So, when I heard about Zoe's Wellness, I was like just intrigued with not only the eating well and losing weight, but also healing your inside and healing your spirit and your heart. And basically that's what really intrigued me with it.
The emotional connection to food is so big, larger than people understand. Won't take a lot of time on it, but we find something that often becomes our go-to to comfort us, but also the body is craving something to stabilize itself. In other words, if you were depressed and you were down, there is chemical imbalance actually happening with this brain-gut connection. And the pharmaceutical industry, or rather the food industry, which speaks to the pharmaceutical industry, understands that we will go to food sources to solve a temporary problem that can actually lead to an overall larger problem, because now our gut's out of whack, our body's out of whack, and we're not stimulating the kind of proper chemical production in the brain that often is the reason that we're depressed. Dr. Joe, am I right about the science behind some of that?
Science is absolutely on you there. There's no doubt that medicine at the moment is understanding the connection between the gut and the brain. And so a lot of people who, unfortunately have issues with mood, they're given medicines like Lexapro or Zoloft or Prozac. What do those things do? They increase levels of serotonin. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter chemical in the brain that's the happy chemical in the brain. My friends, where is serotonin made? It's made in your intestine. 95% of the serotonin, the happy neurochemical you need to make you happy, it's down here. It's not up here, and it's got to get up here. So the link between the two, that Hippocrates, another thing he says is that all diseases start in the gut. So my practice is all about the gut, because what's going on with your gut? I want to say, Lada, by the way, I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
I think that's fantastic. I'm also sad to hear that you were suffering, because that's, obviously upsetting to all of us. And I hope that you are feeling replenished, refreshed, and also optimistic about life, that, because it's such a blessing. So I'm just so happy for you that you're on a good journey with us. It's an honor to work with you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited.
You're excited because you're seeing that what we talk about is real. And I want to provide space now for the time we have with you in the first part of the show, when people are watching through television, to hear your story. And I want to only go to the places that you're comfortable with. It's a private journey. It's a personal one. And what I think people care about most is not just where you were, but where you are now. Having come in contact with Zoe, walking through what our wellness coaches are doing with you, discovering food differently, seeing food differently, having a relationship with it different than before, is translating into some pretty powerful outcomes with you. Let's talk about that. Correct.
I just feel like a whole new person, and I think I'm at day 25. It's incredible. Even my cycle has went back 15 days.
Wow.
Because it went back to where it normally was, and in the last year it had switched, and I was wondering why, and it was because this kind of balanced my hormones out and got me back on track with how my body is supposed to be. I have way more energy. I sleep like a baby. I will be honest, I mean, there's been times where it's hard with food, but it brings me, I was driving here today and I was like, what is a good example that I could say? The best example that I could say was to prepare. God put that on my heart to say, you have to prepare for this. You have to prepare each minute, each day that you're doing this program. And it brought me to Proverbs 31. I can't quote it exactly, but where it says that the woman of the home wakes up early before everyone does to prepare for her children, to prepare for herself, and prepare for her husband.
Wow.
So I have to get up earlier than my daughter does to get on that bus and start doing my drink and start doing my minerals and my boost, and then I'll make her lunch, because it is hard as a mother feeding them dinner, and your dinner's different sometimes.
Yeah.
They might not want that. So you have to prepare. If you don't prepare to fail. So that helps me a lot too.
Do you feel so powerful? By the way, 28 days, numbers don't matter, but they do. For some of us, it's the way to keep score, but also as a measurement stick, and says to us, hey, we're doing all right, it's working, if I may. How many pounds have we shed from the time you started the program till now, if I may ask?
I should be I think I'm at 11 today.
11 pounds down.
Yeah.
Come on.
I
That's
think I'm at
fantastic,
11.
right? Everybody, that's right. That's awesome. It's possible. You're more energy?
Completely. I'm gardening I'm out back gardening again, and I'm mowing my own grass instead of paying my neighbor. I mean, it's totally, I don't think I have anything left to do in my house.
Now, every time I have met you and have been in your company, you come across as a very confident, strong person. What I heard you sharing a little bit was that there were times when you weren't. Mm-hmm. That was maybe the mask that we wear. Mm-hmm. Has the program given you confidence, given you certainty, or is it changing your outlook?
Yes, it's definitely working on me healing inside too. I feel good. I feel good in the inside. I notice a difference in my mental. 100 times more confident. I mean, and when you're starting to fit your clothes again, and you're starting to, feel good again. How can you not feel more confident?
Absolutely.
So, absolutely.
Really quick, I'm going to ask my crew here. We got about a minute left. Is that to the break or the end of the show? End of the show, all right. So I'm going to take this last 60 seconds to encourage you to stay tuned in with us at the after show. That's right. So you can find us on YouTube, our website, and we will go to the after show. I really want to invite you to stay with us or tune in there, because I want to spend more time with Lala, spend more time allowing Dr. Feuerstein to help us talk through some things related to that gut-brain connection, and also give you some really good first steps you can take over the course of the next 30 days to get control of your health and wellness, okay? I'm Damon Davis. This has been Zoe Today. I can't thank you enough for being with us. Stay tuned. Right to the after show. We will see you there. Thank you so much. So this is incredible.
Did I do okay?
You did great. All right, all right, all right. Welcome to the after show. I'm Damon Davis. This is Zoe today. We are just delighted that you've decided to stay with us. And remember, we do this every single program now, today, moving forward, where we do half an hour worldwide, 122 countries, 98 million homes on one network, 32 million unduplicated homes on another. That's a big audience. And then we go live. And live is us spending more time with you in less of a restrictive environment. In other words, where we don't have to really kind of watch the cues from the crew here and floor direction and be so concerned about the time. Instead, we become so concerned about getting to you as much helpful information as we can in the area of health and wellness, and areas I call primary food. Remember, that's the plate before the plate. So much of our life, our finances, our relationships, a career or a job, or anything that's food before the food, our environments, whether or not you're involved in doing what you really want to do or called to do or purpose to do, matters. Scientifically, we know, for example, that if you are stressed out, that stress that you carry around, that we used to be told, just soldier on, push through. It's, pretty weak to yield to the difficulties of the day and show your emotions. Well, we all have emotions. It's just that emotion shouldn't have us. And so what we do through the work of Zoe is help you understand first that stress is truly a silent killer. What do I mean? Well, stress causes cortisol levels to spike. Stress causes inflammation in the body. You can be eating great and working out 3 hours a week in the gym and yet have a toxic load of stress, wrong job, wrong relationships, finances out of whack. You're fighting all the time. You should be subtracting some folks from your life and adding some folks to your life that add to your life, and all of those stress factors can have profound effects on your gut. And as Dr. Joe shared in the first part of our program, it's not just food that impacts the health of our gut, but that nearly all sickness and disease originates right here in your environment. Isn't that amazing? So if you're looking to get healthy and well and have vitality and energy and peace of mind and clarity of thought, it really is a simpler process than you realize. It's called take a time out. Let's do some inspection of our life. Let's, as Lala talked about in the first part, we need to plan for our next step, next level, best life. We have to plan for it, which means that it's time to approach the crossroads and make some decisions about which way we will go. We can go the same way we've been going and get the same results we've always gotten. Or we can get some information and guidance and input from experts who've walked the path to allow you to cut a new path. And that new path is thinking differently. The battle is right here right here. This is where the battle first happens, you guys, right here. And then out of the overflow of the heart, our mouth speaks. So a lot of what's going on is our thought life, heart issues. We don't value ourselves. Our health conference this Friday, 7 to 9 o'clock, right here in Atlanta. Register. Be with us. Its theme is love yourself to health. Isn't that awesome? So it's time you value you. If you don't value you, if you don't know who you are, see yourself as God sees you, Lala's there. She came in contact with Zoe Wellness Centers of America, and she said, I want to change. I'm sick and tired of not feeling my best, being my best, doing my best. And we're all there, just getting by. It's time to not survive, it's time to thrive. That's what this is all about. And I've got an expert with us, Dr. Joseph Feuerstein, who's going to help me add some of the science to some of the stuff I think is right and clarify the stuff to make sure it is right. How about that? You ready? So, Lala, welcome back to the after show. So good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Did I summarize properly, in my own words, kind of where you were? There's always something that drives us to the decision it's time to have different, be different. And something motivated you to give us a shot. What was that?
Well, I definitely did some research on Zoe, of course, and after talking when I came in, it was really crazy when I did the this machine system and all that. One thing caught my eye. The day before I first came in here, I cleaned my whole house with Mr. Clean. And on my chart, where you guys broke down every single thing in my body, it blew me away that it said Mr. Clean. And I was like, they know something. They just tapped into my whole system right now. So basically, I was just ready. It was mental, like you said, the battle's in the mind. I was ready. I was tired. I was tired of being upset. I was tired of being angry. I started noticing I would be yelling at my kids or getting upset easily, sleeping all the time, not wanting to get up until 12, 1 o'clock. For what? And now I'm getting up every morning at 7, so I was ready. And it motivated me just the first time I walked in the doors at Zoe, really.
Yeah. We start with a wellness history. Zoe Wellness Centers of America is not a primary care physician. We're not a doctor's office. We are a non-medical center, however, that is backed by minds of medicine that understand how the body works, where we can have protocols that guide our members in the right directions towards health and wellness. And every now and then there become those cases where we need to go a little further. It's not just as simple as asking some of the basic questions of how are you eating, what's your life like, what are your relationships like, are you stressed out, are you moving, are you hydrating, are you sleeping. We have to look further. We have to look at what's happening that only the blood will tell us, or that we will find out at looking at something called gut health. And you've experienced one part of the journey with us. When you're through the journey with us that is non-medical, although has medical influence and guidance, we're going to put you through it with your openness and willingness. We're going to put you through phase 2 with Dr. Feuerstein, where we will actually look at your blood and look at your gut health, and then put you on the pathway to the greatest days of your life. Because Lala, I believe you'll be back to share with people, wow, I had no idea. I had no idea that there's actually food that can hurt me. I had no idea you can actually drink too much water. I had no idea how many hours of sleep I really needed. I had no idea this brain-gut connection. I had no idea how to feed the body with foods that really work like medicine to give the body optimum results. We see all these people out there living the good life, happy on the outside, putting on that smiling face. Little do we know what's going on behind the scenes.
Exactly.
And that was my story. I didn't know the things I was doing that was adding to depleted health, nor the things I could do to add to improved health. So we're going to do that with you. But before we do, before you leave this program today, I really want us to understand this brain-gut connection. How critical is it that we really focus on gut health? It's something that has been completely overlooked. People have focused on the central nervous system, right? And they have focused on the big block stuff like, counting calories, right? And going to the gym And we all know we got to sleep and hydrate. But most people don't have any clue what's happening in this environment. And I want to have Dr. Feuerstein talk to us like we're 8 years old and share with us what really is happening inside that is spiking inflammation and really leading to bigger problems in our overall health.
Well, the gut flora, there's more bacteria in our intestine than there is, by a factor of 10, cells in our body, because we have bacteria in the intestine, we have them on the skin, we have them in the mouth, we have them in lots of different places. And God does nothing uselessly. There's always a reason for everything. That's intelligent design. So if the Lord decided that we should have these bacteria, there must be something in it for us. And that is the fact that they are incredibly important in health. What's in it for them is that they ride on what we eat. Whatever we eat, if we eat fiber, they will then, because we don't digest fiber, will then, for us, will actually digest the fiber for us and make all these incredible compounds called short-chain fatty acids that will nurture the gut, will help heal the lining of the intestine, will actually have anti-inflammatory properties, and even have maybe anti-cancer properties. So the relationship that we have with these bacteria is incredibly important. And what we know in the last 10 to 15 years is that many, many diseases are going to be related. It's not just that Aristotle says this, Hippocrates says this 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, that every disease starts in the gut. But in addition, we know now from a scientific point of view that there's a relationship between abnormal gut health and heart disease, abnormal gut health and ADD, abnormal gut health and weight, abnormal gut health and cancer, abnormal gut health and mood disorders. So, and if you want to know if you have abnormal gut health, just ask yourself the question, do you go to the bathroom every day? Is it easy? Is it looking normal? Do you not have any bloating? Do you sometimes get gassy? You should have normal, easy bowel movements every day. And if you're doing all of that, then that should be an easy thing. But so many people in the population have problems with their gut. And that is telling you that we need to look into that, because it isn't just about your gut, it's about your body.
Yeah, it's so true. You know, what you're talking about, Dr. Joe, is that our body speaks to us, and we often ignore it. Our body will tell us that something's missing. Our body will tell us that it needs something. And our body, this amazing machine, will self-regulate. In other words, it will manage the imbalances so we can get by. And we get by, but little do we know, just because a symptom hasn't manifested yet doesn't mean that the chaos is not happening beneath the surface. And the longer our bodies go where we're not in balance, I call it in alignment, the more likelihood is that we will at some point initiate some health event. And then that's when we start the system, the process. Something's going on. We had all the symptoms leading up to it. We finally respond to it by going somewhere to get a diagnosis. And then typically the first step is medication.
That's right.
So what that medication does is it's dealing with symptoms. It is serving to counterbalance the imbalance, but it really isn't. What it's doing is it might be dealing with one problem, but that toxic mess in our body that some of us need for a certain period of time, some of it's genetic, might need for longer periods of time, but we're not designed, for example, for me, I was put on high blood pressure medication. It's in my family. Every man in my family for the last 4 generations died before the age of 58 from heart disease. Every one of them had serious high blood pressure. I went to the doc for something else. They said, my gosh, we're surprised you're walking. Your blood pressure's through the roof. You're like stroke level, bruh. We don't want to let you go. You need to go get on some medication. That's what they told me. But it started with, tell me about your dad. They wanted to do a health history, medical history, and they wanted to know who before me had something going on. That's what happens. Did someone in your family have cancer? Did someone in your family have diabetes? Did type 2, not realizing type 2 happens. We can manage it. Completely be off medication as possible. It's not genetic. However, there are dispositions to a genetic profile, which if we lived an entire life surrounded by a certain lifestyle, certain diet, certain way of living, and it was just normal that mom had diabetes and dad had high blood pressure, right? And somebody else had problems where it took an hour in the bathroom to get done what needs to get done, and the next thing you know, they're on antacids or laxatives. Look, we look at that and we say that's normal. And the medical establishment, regretfully, will see that pattern as, well, it was in your family. Good to know now, so we know how to treat it. But treatment is not what this program is all about. Treatment is important. It has its place in time. But what we're really looking to do is get to the root cause. Why did mom and dad have high blood pressure? Well, let's look at the diet. Let's look at the stress factors. And you find out, well, my God, that fat back was good. And drinking 2 cups of coffee before you start your day, well, that's how we get started. Or eating the ice cream at midnight, right? Or the bag of Doritos. Don't mean to knock anybody here, but the truth is, so many people have been raised in just unknowing what foods are bad, unknowing what foods in the body will cause. And over time, that plus the stress, plus the lack of sleep, plus toxicity in relationships, hormone imbalances, as you talked about, just create a breeding ground for symptoms leading to disease, leading to a life that you and I don't deserve. So when they put me on that little white pill and celebrated that it was only 5 milligrams, to me that wasn't a celebration. That was a shot over the bow for me to look at what really is going on in my life and discover how to now live a different one. That's where most people are. If you look at weight gain, I would imagine that you can go back and see a time when the pounds started adding on. Is that fair to say? What was going on when that happened?
I went through a very abusive relationship probably 6 years ago. I was in it for 4 years, and I got out and I literally walked away. Me and my daughter left the house, left both cars, walked out with 2 bags. And slowly, after about a year...
Like literally y'all got out?
We got out. Yep, got out and never looked back.
It's like the middle of the night, so during the day,
yep,
it's just like, we've had enough.
We got out. So a year after that, I became angry and depressed and just...
What about?
I don't know, trauma, I guess. Mad, maybe, that I lost everything at one time that I worked so hard for.
Sure.
I mean, even went to where my daughter wouldn't even talk in school. They had to hold her back because she would witness it. So, I guess trauma, yeah. I mean, just the trauma, and then not taking care of myself, eating or drinking too much. I coped with alcohol a lot. That next year, I did. I definitely drank more than needed.
That became a go-to?
That was a go-to.
Just to get by?
Just to get by.
What were you managing? These are obvious questions, but I must ask, and the answer is sometimes not so obvious, but were you managing the emotions? Was that a way to...
Yes, it's like a numbing factor.
Numb.
Yeah. I've never, did pills or got prescribed for anything, but And then I went months and months ago, I went to my doctor and I said, I need blood tests. I feel like my diabetes runs in my family. My grandmother died from it. Something's wrong with my thyroid. I'm just, over this weight for what's going on? I'm pretty active. And she said, you're fine. All your blood tests are normal. You don't have a bad thyroid. You're not diabetic. And she put me out the door. And I said, there's something else going on.
Sure.
And that's what made me come to Zoe, because I'm like, I need to figure out what the core root is of why I am, unhealthy, why my mind, and I'm a happy person outside with everybody. You would never know. I don't speak negatively.
It's true. You would never know.
No.
Yeah.
I'm, everybody la 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 la, and I'm always like, but I'm also introverted at home a lot, and
Sure.
then I go back in my little, so just the start of this program has been like a whole 360. Even my daughter has been like, Mom, I'm patient with her now.
Wow.
I'm just like, I took her to church yesterday to a women's prayer meeting.
Wow.
Stuff that I stopped doing with her.
Wow.
And she's worshiping the Lord with me yesterday. In
Wow.
church, she's going to be 15.
Wow.
Which is a crucial time.
Wow.
So I have to stop and think. But this really did something in my mind where it's let me think. I'm actually I can think, I can focus, I can, I'm writing down in my journal. I'm having accountability. Even that journal is accountability for me. Those check marks.
Yep.
Yep.
Let me first say thank you just for the little bit of soundbite we got about what was going on, because I know just some of those simple statements spoke to so many people about where they are. And you get to a point where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Mm-hmm. You realize there's got to be more, and you're willing to take that first step. You want to be met by the right kind of questions, mm-hmm. so you can get the right kind of direction. And regretfully, it's not a knock against medicine at all. I mean, the problem is that most big box medicine and most doctors don't have the time that candidly they wish that they had to spend with you, like the good old days, back when doctors made house visits. And hey, before we talk about even the possibility of prescription drugs, let's figure out what the heck's going on here. What are we doing that's leading to this place? And what can we, but that's not where it is these days. Life just has gotten so busy and so complicated, and doctors aren't trained today on nutrition and food. Imagine that there could actually be a way that we could deal with what's going on in the body and in the mind by A, having the time to be coached through the tough stuff, but B, science backing the evidence that food works like medicine. It really does. So when we went down this path to develop Zoe Wellness Centers of America and Zoe Integrative Wellness, I said, I want to build a machine that can do for people what it did for me. I was so desperate to really save my life that I built something really for myself that now is something that I plan on bringing into homes across the globe. I want to be a wrecking ball, a disruptor in people's lives to say, there's another way, Lala. And get people early enough before the intense onset of sickness and disease. Or when that strikes, how do we get out? We got there a certain way. It's not going to be easy to get out. And you need someone that can hold your hand mm-hmm. and walk you through.
Absolutely. Also, one thing I wanted to say is before I started this, it was actually really scary. Every single night I would go to sleep, I was having heart palpitations, and especially eating late and eating bad, my heart would race, and I couldn't fall asleep, and I could not figure out why I could not go to sleep. My heart was racing. I'd take melatonin. I was just taking melatonin after melatonin to go to sleep. And ever since I've started this and eating right, they've stopped. I don't get dizzy anymore. Like I was thinking there was something wrong with me, but
I bet if we had done a blood pressure cuff, if we had checked your vitals, we're supposed to stop eating hours before bed.
right.
Besides that, your body now is working overtime. Your heart's having to pump overtime to process the food. It was probably the worst diet of all. If I may ask, what was your go-to food? No judgment here.
Pasta, chicken, baked potatoes, pizza. I mean,
Heavy carbs,
yeah,
heavy sugar.
I'm Italian, so like pasta. My kids are always like chicken Alfredo.
And what time at night were you? What time?
I mean, it didn't matter. Even I would get up. Sometimes I would have a hard time sleeping. I'd go to sleep really early on my night off, and then wake up at like 4 or 5, get something to eat it, and go back to sleep.
Wow.
Crazy.
Dr. Joe, if Lala walked through the door and you had the opportunity to say, hey, tell me about what's going on in your world, and you heard everything that you just heard, where would you begin?
I mean, what she's presenting, all of those symptoms are, they're, you know, you can either go after each symptom, right, we'll do monitoring of your heart and we'll work out your thyroid, and, you know, and all of that needs to be done, and that's fine. But it's all an expression of a body that is not in balance. It just isn't in balance. And you don't need medicine to put it back into balance. You need, honestly, to just have a lifestyle overhaul, a lifestyle makeover. And that's essentially what the 45,000 patients I saw, that's what I did. You know, I didn't give them prescription medications. This story that Lala said, it's a very inspirational story. This is not new for me. I hear this, I've heard it 45,000 times. I mean, the story is different because Lala's awesome. But the point is that, but what happens is that it never doesn't work if you go on a wellness journey and you do it under guidance. You don't just read a book and then try that. I've written books, but that wasn't enough. You need to actually have a guide, and you need to have a process. And as Lala said, what's one of her tips? Get it ready in the morning. You better believe that. You need to be making all the food you're going to eat ready, so you've got it in the same way as all the people who are sick and they're taking all their pills. They line them up in the morning and they take their handful of pills. And you're not taking a handful of pills, you're taking your food, but you're taking the right food, and you're eating at the right time, and you're not eating the carbs at night. I mean, what a time to be eating carbs at night. There's no way you're going to be able to metabolize that. That's just going to turn into fat.
It's true.
So literally, it was all wrong. And the amazing thing is how great she feels now. In only 25 days, the moment you do it right, it's a cycle of virtue. You'll feel better the more you do it, and you won't want to go back because the new you is a better you.
Your body is, as I stated earlier, is designed to regulate itself. One of the areas where the body regulates is insulin production. So, simply put, you eat that pizza, and there is a spike of insulin. Glucose. Your body, by the way, needs sugar. I mean, it's what feeds the cells, the right kind. So what's happening is your body's producing insulin to bring into balance those blood sugar levels. And you know, what happens oftentimes, especially in cycles where we're distressed, depressed, running and gunning all the time, and we really don't understand the good kind of foods that give the body what it needs, so it's proper sugar, if you will, natural sources, as your body is in this constant state of insulin spikes. Your body can become what's called insulin resistant. Well, long before it becomes an issue like type 2 diabetes, is the body suddenly, from that insulin resistance, begins to hold on to the fat. So there are a lot of people that are walking around with unwanted pounds that become so easily shed when we just begin to bring blood sugars in balance and begin managing insulin and its proper production, rather than these spikes all day long and into the night. Dr. Joe, I said that a little rough, as a health coach, scientifically, have I hit the nail on the mark? Am I in the ballpark of understanding what's happening in the body?
No, that's exactly what is happening. And just in terms of the scope of the problem, people with blood sugar issues, this is not diabetics. You know, let's say 10% of the population or less have diabetes. And that's 30 million people. And those are 30 million people I want to see in Zoe Integrative Wellness. I want to see them, and I want them to be my patients so we can do this. We can get their sugars under control, and we can really kind of treat their diabetes, but it has to be done with a doctor, a nurse, and a health coach. But what about the people who aren't diabetic? They're pre-diabetic. Do you know that that's 30% or more of the population? Mm-hmm. Just think about it. Between the two of them, the diabetics and the pre-diabetics, and the 60% of the population who are obese or overweight, this is most of America.
Yeah.
So most of America is dealing with this problem. And that's exactly right. Insulin resistance. Insulin is an important hormone to keep your sugars under control. But if you continuously ask the pancreas, which is the organ which makes the insulin, to work hard because it's going to have to try and keep all that sugar that you're eating all the time from the Doritos and the ice cream at night and whatever else is going on, your body's trying to get it into balance. Homeostasis, getting things into balance. But you are asking too much of it if you're doing it all the time for years and years, and eventually the pancreas doesn't even work anymore. The insulin levels, they've gone up, and now they start going down, and now you really have sugar issues, and now you're going to have some real diabetes. Mm-hmm. The obesity is all part of that. By the way, that's not the only hormone. Cortisol, the stress hormone, we actually know that patients, people with a medical condition who make too much cortisol all the time, they end up being obese. They have Cushing's disease, and they get that. And that is because that is another hormone that is going to affect the obesity. There are other hormones, gut hormones, all of these drugs that people give now for weight loss, like Wegovy and Ozempic, they're working on other hormones. They're working on hormones that govern the appetite and the metabolism. All of this is complex. But the idea is that what you eat is the hormones will be balanced depending upon what you're eating. Just the same way as Lala said that her cycle's gone back to normal. I bet her inflammation went down and her cycle went down as she loses the weight. So everything, it's a cycle of virtue. The more you do it, the better it feels.
It's so true. We're going to wrap up in just a few minutes. Before we do, Lala, I want to invite you to embark upon phase 2 of your journey with us. And in phase 1, you lost 11 pounds. And you're not done yet, by the way. You're not done. I would predict that you'll probably lose another 4 to 5 pounds the right way, the healthy way. What is your target? And if we could, if you're willing, and if you say, Davis, none of your business, especially not live, I would say, could we announce where you are now, and let's embark upon this journey together. Will we join with you, agree with you, and I will have Dr. Feuerstein be your medical guide, and I'll be your primary food guide. All right. So as a health coach and a medicine man and a health coach, we will work together with you to target the areas that bring you into the very best version of you 60 days from today. To do that, we would want to ask you some questions.
Okay.
And we can certainly have a one-off where Dr. Feuerstein can ask you some more personal, confidential questions that are no one's business, including mine. But I will lead the charge by saying, would you be open to a part 2 journey with us?
Absolutely.
Excellent. So we got a yes. And then number 2, would you be willing to just share with me some of your specific goals that we could announce?
As in weight-wise?
It could be anything. It could be starting with target weight. It could be where you are now, where you'd like to be 60 days from now. It could be the kind of rest or sleep that you're getting versus what you'd like to see. It could be, anything in the area of work-life balance. Anything you're comfortable to announce as some big goals that we can lock in with you and help you reach.
Well, I never do this, but I'm going to do it right now. So before I started, I stepped on the scale and I stepped on one night after just eating like crazy, and I was 209.
Okay.
And I'm only 5'3", y'all. So.
Okay.
And then today, when I stepped on the scale, I was 196. So my goal is, and I noticed a difference. And I am a full woman. I'm not just, but I am full. I'm a voluptuous woman. I have curves. So I still want to keep my curves now. But I would like to be healthy. I want to get down to a weight that I really haven't been at in 20 years.
And what was that?
140, 145.
All right. So Dr. Joe and I are going to hear that, and it will happen. And here's the good news. You may not see yourself get to 140 in 60 days. However, we have set a goal.
Right.
We now incorporate lifestyle changes and dietary changes that I promise you, you stick with those, and your body will reset itself and get down to the weight it's supposed to be. We're talking about the good kind of fat, right? Rather than, so many people are walking around thin but got what's called visceral fat.
Right.
They got so much packing around the organs inside, they may look thin, but they're carrying some unnecessary weight inside that's there to protect the organs, but instead it's squeezing them and causing them to have to work harder. But the program we will design for you will help you get on the pathway to reach the right weight. Now, to do that, we're going to have to look further. We're going to have to go a little deeper. So Dr. Feuerstein's going to want to do a couple of things with you that would be called medically supervised, and I'm going to have him lead the charge on what some of those specific things we will do to get started. Go ahead, Dr. Joe.
So Lala, people like Lala, where we're trying to delve in. The first thing I want to do is I want to look at those labs that were done recently. Let's look at the baseline labs, because their version of normal and my version of normal, and I'm a doctor too, may not be quite the same, because they say, okay, the sugar's a little high, not anything to worry about. Is your sugar 99 and 100s are high and 99's not high? What, like that? Is it 85 fasting or is it 99? So, these, and then hormones, and there's hormones that they don't check. Things like insulin levels. Again, is your sugar okay? Because you have a family history of diabetes and the weight's not optimal when you first started at 209, so you've got some weight. How do I know you're not insulin resistant?
Dr.
I don't
Joe,
know that. We're going to look at that. We may well look at your microbiome.
Dr. Joe,
we're going to look at this in a global way.
Let me pause you.
It's going to be me. It's going to be the health coach.
Are we still broadcasting? Yeah. Sorry, folks. We had a technical difficulty, a technical glitch. You saw me trying to stop our good doctor. We don't want you to lose any of that very important, necessary, and good information. So just bear with us. While they get Dr. Joe back online, I'm going to continue to guide here and speak a little bit. What Dr. Joe is speaking about is we want to get you into one of our centers to actually have a blood pool done. Now, for people that are not close to Chicago or Atlanta, we can send you anywhere. We have relationships all over the United States with labs that we can send you to have your blood drawn. Very simple, very easy process. And that blood goes to a lab that basically gives our doctors a printout of what they can see is happening in your blood. We look for things like nutrients, nutrient deficiencies. Some people are taking so many supplements, we need to dial it back. Some people need to add some supplements to the regimen. We look at other things that are going on in the body, like you said, hormones. We look at insulin production in the body. It's a lot of things that the blood tells us. Life's in the blood. So we get a lot of information there rather than doing any guesswork. The other thing that he was about to share is we do something called a NutriVal, which is gut testing. So we look at really what's happening in the gut, and we look at the state of your gut, the health of the gut. And that tells us a lot. With those two bits of information, we will then begin to build a program where just because there are foods that are good for me doesn't mean those foods are good for you. You've already learned this at ZW, Zoe Wellness Centers of America. But we'll design a eating protocol that allows you to continue on your journey, but now specifically the foods that you need in your protocol versus what might be in a general protocol that is a one-size-fits-all. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Dr. Joe, do we have you back?
We do, sorry, little technical issues.
That's
So
okay.
This is
We're-
all live, baby, so anything can happen.
That's it. We're live. That means we say it, you get it 3 seconds later. Hey, I covered some of the ground. Want to bring you back to where we know Master Control told me we lost you. And that was, you were just starting to say, we're going to get the blood panel, we're going to look at it, and you described already what we would be looking for in the blood. I think you were about to go to looking at the gut. I think that's where you were headed next.
And yes, we certainly will in certain patients. Not everybody, but some people we definitely going to want to take a look at their gut, especially if you have gut issues and you have, IBS pictures or but that also is tied to weight. So in some patients where you're not losing weight and we don't know why you're not losing weight, you've suddenly plateaued and you're doing everything on your end and it's just not working. You want to look at the microbiome at that point. You want to work at it, but to begin with, you start with the low-hanging fruit. And we've already done that because you've done so well with the Zoe 30. You've already got the tools. You know how it is. Now we're going to hone it. We're going to follow it. We're going to tweak it. We're going to see what else we need to do. And then the journey will just go down. We'll just proceed. I don't mind whether, do we get to that particular number? I think we get to wholeness and we get to wellness, whatever number that might be. And you'll know when it is, and this will be the best version of you, and this will be forever.
You know what's crazy is that it can seem so complicated. People walking around just sick, disease factors going on, they're unhappy, they're overweight, they have no energy, foggy mind, they're not sleeping, indigestion all the time. They're taking all kinds of over-the-counter aids to fix a headache, cut down on the reflux, help them sleep, help them get up, help them go down. It's sick. The whole world, as it pertains to food and medicine, seems to be out of whack. And it really is out of whack because we've overcomplicated it. We've got a pill for this and a pill for that, a course for this and a class for that. At the end of the day, you're just not happy. Most people, meaning they know they're not their best version. They know that there's got to be more. And they're just getting by and they don't know what the heck to do about it. We built Zoe to be a center that, a touch base, a come home. Sit with somebody and talk through what your short-term and long-term goals are. And then let's start asking the real questions, the hard questions, and getting to the answers to start mapping out a journey to not just restoration of what the devil stole, but a pathway to achieve what you really dreamed to achieve once upon a time. What was yours? Once upon a time. What did Lala want to be? What did you want to do?
One of my main goals, maybe 8 or 9 years ago was actually ministry, believe it or not. I was in a ministry group when I lived in California called a Tribe of Judah, and we went to all different churches and we ministered, and we'd walk on some of the roughest parts in California and go minister to the prostitutes and pray with them, and I stopped doing that. I moved to Atlanta and met a wrong guy and then went through all that, and then it just kind of went downhill. So that was probably one of my, my main goals. And just being healthy and happy and being a good mom and making the world something better.
I like to say hell can't create anything, it can only stand in the way or work to destroy it.
Right.
God made us. It's wonderful machines. Dr. Joe called it sports car. He made these Bentleys, if you will, to be treated a certain way, to be driven a certain way.
Right.
Destiny and purpose inside you, and all of hell wants to stand in the way and kill it, keep it from ever seeing its place in the world. I do not believe you encountering me, you encountering Zoe, was by happenstance.
Me neither. Seriously.
And I would imagine that all of hell, since you said yes, has worked to stop you. I can tell you everything has worked really hard to stop us from doing this show. We have done week after week, reset, reset, reset. It's been, if you could add up the technical difficulties and scheduling difficulties, to tell you that it's a miracle we're on today would not be an understatement. But I would say the fact that I'm here with you today, this is so encouraging for me, Lala, because if Zoe, Wellness Centers of America, and Zoe Integrative Wellness, if Dr. Joe Feuerstein, Damon Davis, Dr. Akon Essien, Dr. Stephen Gabriel, if all of the wellness coaches and all of the folks inside and outside the circle that are all bolted in with one goal, one purpose in mind, and that is to reach as many people as we can to help get them well, stop the progression of the craziness, show them what we can do to reach the life we deserve, then that's one more soldier on the battlefield to help others find their way. And I am delighted you're here, but believe that we might just be scratching the surface on what God's going to do with you and the work of Zoe, and I believe bring some answers to ministry to your table. What do you think about that? Is that a possibility?
I definitely think it's a possibility. I feel like this is all kind of an alignment from, you know who. So.
Well, I want to thank you for being here,
Thank you for having me.
for your courage and for believing in yourself. And Dr. Feuerstein, thank you, sir, for all that you continue to do with us. Any closing statements before we wrap up? Anything from you, Dr. Joe, before we wrap up? I think our audio went out. Gang, we're going to get this audio, we're going to get our technical stuff squared away, I promise you. But I hope that the time we have spent together with you has been a blessing, and I hope that just some of what you've heard today, maybe for the first time ever, has enriched you and challenged you to now seek out more. You deserve it. You owe it to yourself. It's time that we love ourselves to health. And that starts with you making a decision that there is more. Whatever you're going through, whatever's happening in your life that seems out of whack, I call it, off track, we can get it straightened out, we can get it organized, we can get you on the right path to living the greatest days of your life. And by the way, it doesn't matter how young you are or how old you may feel that you are. I say on the opening of the program and throughout, wellness is a destination, not a journey. And where there's breath, there is hope. By the sheer fact you're breathing, we can do something about it. All right? I'm Damon Davis. I trust that you've been blessed by this program, and I hope to see you again tomorrow on national television at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then here for the after show where you can ask the questions that you have. We'll see you there.